Hello YouTubers, welcome to Yasmine's cooking show. Today I'm going to teach you how to make chicken stock. For the first few weeks on this channel, we're going to focus on the basics, the culinary fundamentals, like stocks, soups, sauces, and knife skills. I was a cook in the Navy for 8 years, and I am a culinary educator, and we're going to lay out a foundation, okay? Now, being a great cook is just like being a great makeup artist, and we all know that a great look begins with a good foundation, and that's what a chicken stock is. It's our foundation, okay? Just like scrambling eggs or boiling pasta, chicken stock is one of those things that every cook needs to know how to make, and I'm going to teach you how today. All right, now during our lesson we will also discuss the differences between a stock and a broth, and then following our demonstration in the kitchen, we're going to transition over into our next segment to discuss nutrition, more specifically vitamins A and B, their functions in the body, as well as their food sources and why we need them. Very, very, very important. Okay, now you're going to hear a lot of culinary terms on this channel. Why? Because every industry has their lingo. And today, our two words are mirepoix and mise en place. Mirepoix and mise en place. And then finally, in our last segment, a moment in food history. I love that. We're going to talk about the Louisiana Purchase, its connection to Haiti, my homeland, and Creole cuisine. There's a lot that you don't know about Haiti. It's going to be good. My name is Yasmine. Welcome to my channel. Let's get started. Okay, so what is a stock? Let's define a stock. Are we talking about the stock market? No, we are in the kitchen, okay? So in our situation as cooks, a stock is a flavored liquid. A stock is the secret to a great soup, a great sauce, or a great stew. Just remember the 4 S's: stocks, soups, sauces, and stew. Okay, now there are several different types of stocks. You have white stock, brown stock, and fish stock. So what goes in it? Okay, the basic ingredients to any stock are bones, a vegetable mixture known as mirepoix, herbs, spices, and cold water. All right, so let's define a mirepoix. Mirepoix is a mixture of onions, carrots, and celery with the ratio of 50, 25, and 25. So for instance, let's say you needed 4 cups of mirepoix for whatever, okay? So you would need 2 cups of onions, 1 cup of carrots, and 1 cup of celery. Just remember OCC, onions, carrots, celery. You always will need twice as much as as much as your carrots and your celery, okay? Now, there are some instances where parsnips, leeks, and mushrooms are added for extra flavor, but typically it's always onions, carrots, and celery, OCC, okay? All right, so now let's define a broth. What is a broth? A broth is a flavorful liquid. It is made by the simmering of meats and or vegetables. Let me give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, I made chicken noodle soup with cut up chicken legs. So what I did was, for the first 20 minutes, I allowed the meat to release its own natural juices, okay, under low heat. And then in the next 20 minutes, I added some water to create enough liquid to create a broth, so that way I have enough water to simmer the vegetables and the noodles. So that's your broth, okay? All right. Okay, so what is mise en place? first I'm going to tell you and then I'm going to show you, okay? My vision with this channel is to use the same concept that I've used when I taught culinary education. We would spend some time in the classroom and then transition over into the kitchen for hands-on learning and demonstration, and then come back into the classroom for nutrition education and food history, okay? All right, so what is mise en place? Mise en place is a French word and it literally means put in place. It is the preparation and the assembly of all food items and equipment before we actually start cooking. In other words, it's having everything diced up, cut up, washed up, measured up. That way you have a smooth running kitchen. Every food operation does this, like the Navy, hospitals, restaurants, we all do it. So why not use the same concept at home, okay? It really works, okay? So let's look at our ingredients, okay? So 5 to 7 pounds of a whole bird, okay? We're gonna use a whole chicken because we're home cooks, okay? Cold water, 4 cups of mirepoix, remember 2 cups of onions, 1 cup of carrots, and 1 cup of celery, or 50, 25, and 25, 1 head of whole garlic, 10 whole peppercorns, and parsley stems, all right? So let's get on over into our kitchen. Okay, so we have here a whole bird already washed up, about 5 to 7 pounds. Now, if I were teaching this at a culinary school, we would have been using neck and back bones because bones add flavor and richness to a stock. But because I know most of us don't live near a butcher shop, we'll use a whole bird, okay? All right, so let's get started. So chicken's in the pot. Next, let's add our mirepoix. And remember the ratio, 50, 25, and 25. 50% onions, 25% celery, and 25% carrots. Please stay away from red onions when you make a white stock. Why? Because we're making a white stock. Red onions are much more appropriate in salads and salsas, okay? Our seasonings and herbs come next. Everything in the pot should always be covered with cold water. Doing so will dissolve blood and impurities. Now, under high heat, we're going to bring it to a boil, and those impurities will rise to the surface and we'll skim them off. I'll show you. We'll be right back. Now, let's reduce this to a simmer. Skim off the impurities. And we're simply gonna simmer for 4 hours uncovered. Make sure you use a timer. This is our stock after 4 hours. Then, using a china cap and a strainer lined with cheesecloth, we're going to strain. I strain twice. By the way, you can find cheesecloth at any Walmart. In order to keep food safe, the best way to cool a pot of any hot liquid is by submerging frozen bottles of water in it. Now, in restaurants, we also use the sink with cold running water by placing the pot in the sink, okay? But water bottles work perfectly at home. Now, you also do not want to place hot liquid in the fridge either. Why? Because what it will do is bring the temperature of the fridge down. And we don't want that, right? Now, let me talk to my Haitian cooks real quick about food safety. Nous-mêmes les Haïtiens, Nou gen habitude ki te manje chaud chita nan cuisine nan. Gade, bon di nou, le nou fe gros bokit soup joumou ou bien bouillon, mais comment pour nous descendre température manger ya? Mettez bouteille de l'eau dans freezer ya, et puis mettez bouteille sa yo dans soupe là ou n'importe quoi faire ya. Et puis tout pas oublier retirer papier ya. Pas jamais mettez manger chaud dans frigidaire. OK? Once the stock is cool, we divide it in plastic containers and store it in the fridge. As the stock chills, fat rises to its surface and solidifies as you see here. Using a spoon, we're going to lift the fat and throw it away. We have good fat and bad fat. Good fat comes from plants like olives, avocado, coconut, and peanuts. Bad fat comes from animals. That's your cholesterol fat. Stock can be stored for up to 1 week in the fridge or frozen for several months. Post your comments and questions below and let me hear from you. Click on the next video and let's talk about nutrition and food history in part 2 of this episode.